Welcome to Snippet Saturday, where we turn back the clock and share some insights from past episodes. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to Breakthrough Success and leave a review. All right, let's jump right into the episode. Today's guest for episode 261 of the Breakthrough Success podcast is none other than John Ruhlin. John, it is such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Marc, I love your energy, man. I'm honored to be in the 200s on what sounds like an amazing run that you've had, man. Thanks for having me. A lot of times people don't realize they haven't identified. I don't care if you're a solopreneur or whether you're a billion-dollar company. Who are the most important? Like, who are the top 10 or 20% of your relationships that are producing all of your deals, all of your referrals, that are all of your media opportunities? Who are the suppliers that you wouldn't have a business without? People are like, why would you give a gift to your supplier? And I'm like, because I don't have a business without my suppliers. I don't have a business without my product suppliers and my, print suppliers. And people are like, but you're spending millions of dollars with them. And I'm like, yeah, but if they go away, I don't have a business. Like, I'm not going to go make those items. So the who is just as important as the what. You have to identify who you're going to give the gifts to and write them down and have some detailed information on them. Like, one of our core principles is don't take care of who you think is the decision maker, the director of marketing or the CEO. Like, take care of their inner circle. People are like, what do you mean inner circle? I'm like, the reason the knives work so well and we still sell millions of dollars in knives is that if you take care of somebody's spouse, you take care of somebody's assistant, you take care of somebody's kids or their pets, and make the executive look like the hero to them, you end up getting the executive in the process. And now you have an internal sales advocate. Like, I've literally had clients or prospects that have reached out to me and said, John, I thought like your gifting idea was dumb. I wasn't going to do anything with it. Then you start sending me these gifts and you included my wife. Now my wife is asking before we go to bed, have you done anything with John lately? Are you going to sit down with him for dinner? He's like, I feel like I'm sleeping with your sales rep. And so taking care of somebody's inner circle and honoring them in a way, and not in a manipulative way, but just honoring the fact that, like, for me, I'm married, I got 3 kids. I'm nothing without my wife. Like, she's the rock of our family. I have like 3 assistants. I'm nothing without them because they're the ones that actually do all the heavy lifting. And most of the time, those people get treated like arm candy, or they get treated like pawns or like gatekeepers. They get treated like crap. And so we started out with $1,000 a month budget 18 years ago. And now we're up to, this year, we'll send out $400,000 in gifts to clients and prospects and suppliers and employees. And so we built up to that over time. 3/4 of that budget, like literally $300,000 in that budget, is targeted not at the executive, but at their inner circle, because that's where I can spend $1 and get $10 back in return. Because most of the time, those people, it's like they get nothing, or they get disrespected, or they get treated. Like, I've had women come up to me. They're like, John, I've been married to so-and-so for 30 years, and they're all blinged out with like $500,000 in jewelry. And they're in tears. They're like, John, this is the first time in 30 years anybody ever sent me a gift that had my name spelled right and included me as a human being versus, and so what's interesting is like the who you're giving the gift to is way more important. Yes, the knives are amazing, or whatever you're going to send needs to be, world-class and useful and meet like all of our criteria. But if you get the who you're giving the gift to wrong, or you don't include their inner circle, or you don't include the handwritten note to go along with it, or you throw your logo on it, if you do any of those things, you could take the exact same gift and get 100 times worse response based upon not taking care of a detail that to us is what determines whether or not something becomes an artifact and something that they're raving on social media about, or whether they're regifting it to goodwill. Like, one detail wrong and game over. You just wasted, I don't care if it's $5 or $5,000 on the gift. It's the little things leading up to the gift are that important.
And one of the things that I want to tackle is, like, I understand, like, you're making a very significant amount of revenue. Some people listening to the show right now may only be making like maybe $1,000 each month or $5,000 each month. So they may not have as big of a budget when you account for overhead and things like that. So for someone who may feel a little on a shoestring, how can they get into giftology?
Yeah, well, I would say that everything I'm teaching, I didn't raise any outside capital or venture capital or private equity money, or I don't have a ton of debt. I have one business partner. We're a small team. Like, I have 10 employees. I've outsourced a lot of my stuff. I've partnered with my suppliers to give me dedicated staff to be able to play at a Fortune 500 level, but still be a small company. So I started, selling knives to Mr. and Mrs. Jones and bootstrapped and supplied my own money along the way. So I would say that whatever you're doing, whether you're making let's say you're making $1,000 a month profit. Our rule of thumb is to reinvest 5 to 15% of net profit back into your relationship. So if you're making $1,000 a month, reinvesting $100 to $150 back into the one mentor who believed into you, or to the one client that you did. Maybe you don't even have that. Maybe you can't even reinvest money right now, which I would challenge anybody at any size to say you can't reinvest some money, because if you have beer money and other money to do other things that aren't good for you, then you can always scrape together money. But let's just say you don't. You're taking care of your 37 cousins and sisters and whatever else that you just don't have any money. The handwritten note, taking the time to write the most thoughtful handwritten note and taking that to that mentor, advisor, client, and reading it to them in person, you both will likely cry, and you will deepen that relationship, and they will never throw that note away. I guarantee when they die, it will be in a closet, a drawer, desk drawer somewhere. They will keep that note, and you will have deepened your relationship with that person with gratitude in a tangible way, and your happiness and that person's happiness will have gone up significantly. There's been research, like statistical data research, that's been done on that one act alone. And anybody, even if you don't have to spend $9 on your steel letterhead or anything. Like, I started out with $1 business cards early on and bought 100 of them for $100 because I wanted every touch point that I had to try to be as different as possible to communicate that the details of gifting and gratitude matter. And so I love talking to people that are just getting started or that are bootstrapping it, because guess what? Like, I was the kid in the dorm room bootstrapping it on my own. Like, I grew up one of 6 kids. We were poor. Like, I wasn't the kid wearing Air Jordans and British Knights back in the 80s. I was the kid wearing hand-me-downs from the garage sale. I didn't have any silver spoon, trust fund to get this started. So it's not that I didn't have, like, we weren't poor. Like, we didn't have enough money to eat poor. So it's not like a rags to riches story, but we were like lower income. And so what I'd say is that anybody, if you want to commit to this, don't do it once. Anybody that's going to do it needs to commit to doing it for 3 years, because a lot of the things that we didn't land the Cubs until after doing gifting for 7 years to them. Most people give up after 7 minutes. So you have to be consistent with it and be willing to push through some of the valleys and some of the tough times to be able to get to the other side of things. And so what I'd say is that you'll never regret pouring into your most valuable relationships, whether it's making $1,000 a month or whether you're making $100,000 a month. There's more zeros there, but the percentages of what we recommend from a core value perspective of reinvesting 5 to 15% of net profits back into people, that number doesn't change whether you have a $100,000 business or a $100 million business. The numbers stay the same.
Want to connect with other listeners? Make sure you join us all in the official Breakthrough Success Facebook group, which you can find over at markguberti.com/Facebook, which will be in the show notes. There are weekly giveaways and a supportive community waiting for you in the group. We hope you enjoyed today's snippet, and we'll see you next time.